The Aasimar, Children of the Divine, a Dungeons and Dragons lore deep dive. Introduction. In the vast multiverse of Dungeons and Dragons, where mortals walk alongside monsters and magic permeates every corner of reality, there exist beings who bridge the gap between the material world and the celestial planes. Today, we're diving deep into the lore of the Aasimar, the plane-touched descendants of celestial beings, bearers of divine light, and champions against darkness. Whether you're a player considering an Aasimar character, a dungeon master looking to incorporate them into your campaign, or simply a lore enthusiast, join me as we explore everything from their origins and abilities to their inner struggles and role in the cosmic balance. Section 1. Origins and Nature. So, what exactly is an Aasimar? At their core, Aasimar are mortals, usually humans, who carry celestial blood in their veins. This isn't necessarily a recent inheritance. An Aasimar might be born generations after their family's encounter with a celestial being. A deva might have blessed an ancestor. An angel could have taken mortal form and had children. Or a family line might have been touched by divine energy in some profound way. The celestial influence doesn't always follow predictable patterns. Two normal human parents might give birth to an Aasimar child, the celestial spark suddenly manifesting after lying dormant for generations. It's this unpredictability that makes Aasimar so fascinating. They're not a separate race breeding true, but rather individuals marked by the divine, appearing seemingly at random throughout mortal populations. This celestial heritage manifests physically in subtle but unmistakable ways. Most Aasimar possess an otherworldly beauty, with features that seem almost too perfect, too symmetrical. Their eyes might gleam with an inner light, shifting between metallic colors like gold, silver, or bronze. Some have hair that seems to shimmer or move with an unseen breeze. Their skin might have an unusual luster, or bear birthmarks that resemble celestial symbols. But the most dramatic manifestation of their heritage comes in moments of intense emotion or when they call upon their celestial power, a radiant aura that surrounds them, making them appear as beacons of divine light in a dark world. Section 2. The Celestial Guide. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Aasimar aren't just celestially descended. They're also celestially guided. Each Aasimar is connected to a specific celestial entity, usually a deva, who serves as their spiritual guide throughout their life. This guide doesn't walk beside them in the material world. Instead, they communicate through dreams, visions, and moments of quiet meditation. Imagine having a divine mentor whispering guidance in your dreams, offering cryptic advice about your destiny, warning you of dangers, or revealing paths you should take. This relationship is deeply personal and varies dramatically from one Aasimar to another. Some guides are distant and speak only in riddles and symbols. Others are more present, offering clear direction and frequent counsel. The guide might be stern and demanding, pushing their Aasimar charge toward heroic deeds, or they might be gentle and nurturing, supporting them through their struggles. But here's the catch. This guidance isn't always welcome. Some Aasimar embrace their celestial destiny, eager to fulfill whatever purpose the higher powers have for them. Others resent this divine intrusion into their lives, wanting nothing more than to live as normal people, free from the weight of celestial expectations. This tension between divine purpose and mortal free will is at the heart of many Aasimar stories, and the relationship can be complicated. What happens when an Aasimar disagrees with their guide's direction? What if they believe the path they're being shown is wrong? These conflicts can lead to some of the most interesting character development. Section 3. The Three Paths. In 5th edition D&D, Aasimar are divided into 3 distinct types: each representing a different manifestation of their celestial heritage and, more importantly, the path they've chosen in response to their destiny. First, we have the Protector Aasimar. These are the classic celestial champions, the ones who fully embrace their role as defenders of the weak and destroyers of evil. When a Protector Aasimar unleashes their radiant soul ability, spectral wings of light emerge from their back, and they radiate healing energy that can aid their allies. They're often found serving as paladins, clerics, or simply wandering heroes who go wherever their guide directs them. Think of them as the idealized version of what the celestial powers hoped all Aasimar would become. Then there are the Scourge Aasimar. These Aasimar have accepted their divine mission, but with a darker, more intense fervor. They don't just want to defeat evil, they want to burn it away, even if that means burning themselves in the process. Their radiant consumption ability causes searing light to pour from them, damaging both their enemies and themselves. Scourge Aasimar often struggle with the intensity of their own power and purpose, becoming zealots consumed by their mission to eradicate wickedness from the world. They walk a dangerous line, their righteous fury always threatening to tip into destructive obsession. Finally, we have the Fallen Aasimar. Now, despite the name, Fallen Aasimar aren't necessarily evil. They're Aasimar who have rejected their celestial guide's direction, turned away from their intended destiny, or succumbed to darker influences. When they transform, necrotic energy replaces radiant light, and they project an aura of fear rather than hope. Some fallen Aasimar have genuinely turned to evil, but others simply refuse to be puppets of celestial forces, choosing their own path even if it meant losing their connection to the divine. A fallen Aasimar might be a tragic figure struggling with their rejection of destiny, or they might be someone who found freedom in walking away from what they were supposed to be. Section 4. Life as an Aasimar. Let's talk about what it's actually like to be an Aasimar in a typical D&D world. First, there's the issue of recognition. Unlike some plain-touch beings, Aasimar can often pass for human at first glance, especially if they're covering their more unusual features. But maintaining that disguise becomes difficult. Their supernatural beauty attracts attention. Their tendency to emit light during emotional moments can be hard to explain. And in a world where celestial beings are known to exist, people who recognize when Aasimar is might have strong reactions. Some cultures revere Aasimar as blessed children of the gods, practically holy figures deserving of respect and admiration. In such places, an Aasimar might find doors opening for them, people seeking their blessing or counsel, and expectations that they'll live up to some idealized standard of righteousness. Other societies might view them with suspicion. After all, being touched by otherworldly power isn't always seen as a blessing. Some might see Aasimar as dangerous, unpredictable, or as targets for those who want to exploit celestial power. And in places where evil holds sway, an Aasimar's presence might paint a target on their back. Then there's the personal struggle. Imagine growing up knowing you're different, having dreams filled with the voice of a being from another plane, feeling an innate pull toward heroism and justice that you didn't choose. Some Aasimar are born into families who understand and support their nature, but others might be abandoned, feared by their own parents who don't understand what their child is. Many Aasimar feel isolated, caught between two worlds. They're not fully mortal. They have celestial blood and divine purpose, but they're not celestial beings either. They experience mortal emotions, desires, fears, and weaknesses. They age, they can be hurt, they can make mistakes. This in-between existence can lead to a profound sense of loneliness. Section 5. Purpose and Destiny. The central question that haunts most Aasimar is, why me? What am I meant to do? Their celestial guides rarely provide clear answers. The visions and dreams they receive might show them destroying a great evil, saving a kingdom, finding a legendary artifact, or standing at a pivotal moment in history. But the path to those moments, that's often left for the Aasimar to figure out themselves. This creates an interesting dynamic in gameplay and storytelling. An Aasimar character might be driven by this sense of unfulfilled destiny, searching for the purpose they're meant to serve. They might travel the world not just for adventure, but looking for the specific situation or enemy that matches their visions. Every encounter, every decision carries the weight of, is this it? Is this what I was meant for? Some Aasimar never find their ultimate purpose, and that can be its own tragedy. Others discover that their grand destiny was something smaller and more personal than they imagined, saving one person who would go on to change the world, or being in the right place at the right moment to prevent a catastrophe. And then there are those who reject the entire concept of a predetermined destiny. These Aasimar often fall in, but not always, decide that their life is their own to direct. They might use their celestial gifts, but on their own terms, for their own reasons. This rebellion against cosmic purpose can be an act of evil, but it can also be an assertion of free will and self-determination. Section 6. Powers and abilities. Let's talk about what Aasimar can actually do. What powers do they possess that set them apart? All Aasimar have innate resistance to radiant and necrotic damage, representing their connection to both celestial light and the cosmic forces that oppose it. They possess dark vision, able to see in darkness as if they carry an inner light, and they can cast the light cantrip at will, a small manifestation of their radiant nature. But their most significant ability is their transformation. Once per long rest, an Aasimar can unleash their true celestial nature for 1 minute. As we discussed earlier, this transformation differs based on their path. Protector Aasimar gain spectral wings and boost their allies. Scourge Aasimar become fonts of burning radiant energy, and Fallen Aasimar channel necrotic power and fear. Beyond these mechanical abilities, Aasimar often have an intuitive sense for good and evil, though it's not infallible. They might feel uncomfortable in the presence of fiends or undead, or experience a sense of peace near holy sites. Their dreams are more vivid than those of normal mortals, serving as the primary communication channel with their celestial guide. In terms of classes, Aasimar can excel in almost any role. Paladin and Cleric are obvious choices, playing into their celestial nature and divine connection. But you might also find Aasimar Warlocks having made pacts with celestial patrons, or Aasimar Rogues, using their angelic appearance to disarm suspicion. An Aasimar Barbarian could be fascinating, someone struggling to reconcile celestial calm with mortal rage. The possibilities are endless. Section 7. Role-playing an Aasimar. If you're considering playing an Aasimar character, here are some things to think about that can add depth to your portrayal. First, define your relationship with your celestial guide. Do you hear from them often or rarely? Are they helpful or cryptic? Do you trust them? This can create great role-playing moments when you receive guidance that conflicts with what your party wants to do, or when you have to interpret a confusing vision. Consider how you handle your celestial heritage in social situations. Do you hide it or embrace it? How do you react when people recognize what you are? Do you feel pressure to live up to expectations of righteousness, or do you deliberately subvert those expectations? Think about your personal struggle with destiny versus free will. Are you searching for your purpose, running from it, or questioning whether it even exists? How do you feel when you use your celestial powers? Empowered, afraid, resentful, grateful. And don't forget the small details. How do you handle your appearance? Do you try to downplay your otherworldly features, or use them to your advantage? What happens when you get emotional and start glowing? How do you explain your strange dreams to your companions? One of the most compelling aspects of playing an Aasimar is exploring moral complexity. Just because you have celestial blood doesn't mean you automatically know the right answer to every ethical dilemma. You might have strong convictions, but you're still capable of being wrong, making mistakes, or facing situations where there is no clear right choice. Section 8. Aasimar in your campaign. For Dungeon Masters, Aasimar can serve multiple roles in your campaign. As player characters, they provide a direct connection to celestial forces and divine plans. You can use an Aasimar's guide to deliver plot hooks, warnings, or cryptic prophecies. Their visions can guide the party toward important story beats, while still leaving room for player agency. As NPCs, Aasimar make excellent quest givers, antagonists, or allies. A protector Aasimar might hire the party to help them fulfill a divine mission. A scourge Aasimar could be a dangerous zealot whose methods put them at odds with the party. A fallen Aasimar might be a complex villain with understandable motivations, or a misunderstood ally. You can also use Aasimar to explore themes of destiny, purpose, and the price of power. What happens when celestial forces try to manipulate mortal affairs? What's the cost of being chosen for a divine purpose? How do people react to living proof of the divine? Remember that not every Aasimar needs to be a hero. Some might be ordinary people trying to live normal lives despite their heritage. Others might use their celestial gifts for selfish purposes. The most interesting Aasimar characters are those who feel real and complex, not just walking symbols of divine goodness. Conclusion: the Aasimar represent one of D&D's most compelling explorations of what it means to be touched by the divine while remaining fundamentally mortal. They're caught between worlds, blessed with power but burdened with purpose, called to greatness while struggling with very mortal doubts and desires. Whether they embrace their celestial heritage, reject it, or find some middle path, Aasimar stories are ultimately about choice. The choice to accept or deny destiny, the choice to use power for good or ill, and the choice to define oneself rather than being defined by others, even when those others are divine beings. They remind us that being chosen isn't always a blessing, that divine purpose can be both gift and curse, and that the greatest heroism often comes not from following a predetermined path, but from choosing your own way forward, even when that way is difficult. So whether you're playing an Aasimar struggling with their guide's demands, creating an NPC whose celestial nature hides a complex inner life, or simply appreciating the lore of these fascinating beings, remember that at their heart, Aasimar are about the very human or mortal struggle to find meaning, purpose, and identity in a cosmos that's far larger and stranger than we can fully comprehend. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the lore of the Aasimar. May your celestial lights shine bright, your visions be clear, and your choices be your own. End.